Do you ever wonder if your little one is ready for independent sleep skills? If so, this video is for you. Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Sarah Mitchell. I'm a chiropractor by training, but really found my passion empowering parents to teach their little ones to sleep and parent confidently day and night as the creator of the Helping Babies Sleep Method. And today we're going to talk about when is my baby ready for some sleep teaching, aka sleep training. So here's the thing. The term sleep training, in my mind, is completely outdated because the drive to sleep is biological, but the way we sleep is actually a learned habit. And training sounds so rigid and cruel, and it's nothing like that. And if you're familiar with the Helping Babies Sleep Method at all, you know that there's really 5 pillars involved in teaching our little ones to sleep. The first pillar is really understanding that the drive to sleep is biological, but the way we sleep is a learned habit. And here's the surprise with that one, is that learning actually happens in the newborn stage. As early as 4 to 8 weeks of age, we are imprinting what sleep looks like for our little people. Now, for some of you, you're already working on gentle newborn sleep shaping, helping them fall asleep in their bassinet from awake. And for others of you, you might be struggling with kids who really only want to sleep on you, which can often be a sign of discomfort, reflux, gas, hunger, a bunch of other things, okay? But if you have a kiddo who's gaining weight well, and you feel like your feeding is going well, then the best time to be working on sleep habits is in that 4 to 8, 9, 10 week range of age. That's when you can work on helping your little one fall asleep in the bassinet from awake rather than having them fall asleep on you and then doing the transfer, because the transfer tends to wear off somewhere around 3 months when your little one's sleep cycles change and they start entering more light sleep and become more aware of the world around them. So gentle newborn sleeping, you can absolutely do that as early as 4 weeks, as long as you're gaining weight well and you've got your feeding well established. Then there's some of you that have kiddos that are 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months of age who are like, oh my gosh, I'm realizing that I'm the only one that can put my little person to sleep and that they are completely dependent on me to make them sleep. How do I get out of this? How do I work on sleep teaching, otherwise known as sleep training? Okay, so here's some of the things that I look for as a seasoned professional and healthcare practitioner when I'm assessing if a child is ready to learn how to have independent sleep skills. Independent sleep skills are otherwise known as self-soothing skills. Okay, those are things like rubbing their head into the back of the mattress, or moaning, or banging their feet down on the mattress, or sucking a thumb or a finger, or taking some piece of cloth and rubbing it in their fingers. Those are all self-soothing skills. And they are the one thing that your kiddo needs to be able to sleep through the night, okay? And what I'm looking for when I work with a client is how old they are. So I'd love to see 4 months or greater before we work on independent self-soothing skills. And here's why. I have found that at 3 months, there is still a very wide variation in where kids are neurologically. So some kids, their startle reflex, aka the Moro reflex, is disappearing. It's getting much better. They're not startling themselves awake. But for the average 3-month-old, I find that that is still present, but by 4 months, that is decreasing. And that's important because if they're constantly startling themselves awake, you're kind of putting them at a disadvantage to be working on self-soothing skills at that age. The second thing I'm looking for is, are they gaining hand control? Hand control is different than that Moro reflex or that startle reflex. Hand control is the ability to find your thumb or your finger and bring it to your mouth, because bringing hands to the mouth is a very common self-soothing skill. You cannot teach a baby to sleep who is still swaddled, right? And they would still be swaddled if they have the Moro reflex, or if you're just afraid of letting them out because their hand will wake them up, well, then they're not quite ready. Okay, there's definitely a learning curve when you do release those hands, and so you might want to start weaning off the swaddle gradually. As a reminder, you do want to stop swaddling when your little one is showing signs of rolling, or when you decide it's time to be working on those independent sleep skills. Okay, so just to recap, I'm looking for the Moro reflex to be disappearing and that hand control to be getting a little bit more under control. The third thing I'm looking for is that they are hitting or have hit the 4-month sleep regression, which can happen as early as 3.5 months, okay? And why that happens is a neurological leap associated with object permanence. So they start to realize that you exist even though they can't see you and start to call for you more frequently, Okay. And I just don't want you to be starting sleep teaching right when that hits, because it will be hard for you to gauge if you're making progress. So I usually tell parents, sit in that sleep regression for 7 to 10 days and then start working on the self-soothing skills and the sleep teaching. So in the 5 pillars of the Helping Baby Sleep method, that first one is really understanding that the drive to sleep is biological, but the way we sleep is a habit, right? So we want to implement those habits early on if we can. If you're not ready, not to worry, right? If you're suffering with low milk supply or allergies or reflux, so be it. Your baby will sleep on you for months. You can work on sleep habits later because it's a learned habit. And it's never too late to work on sleep habits. I work with kids up to age 3, essentially. Okay. The second pillar of the Helping Baby Sleep method is really understanding timing, how timing, putting a kiddo down too early or too late, can set you up to fail. So a very common mistake I see is having these bedtimes that are too late because they're based on like an ideal schedule or when papa comes home or spouse comes home from work. Okay. Timing is super important. The third pillar is intentional feeding, right? So using the breast or the bottle as fuel so that you can consolidate calories in the daytime and get those longer stretches of nighttime sleep. That your child doesn't associate feeding with sleeping. The third pillar is messaging and being consistent. So setting up little cues in your bedtime routine and your nap time routine, so they should look similar, so that your child can learn what to expect. And you can start doing that as early as 4 weeks. It's not a long routine by any means, maybe 5 minutes, but just consistency and step by step. Kids love to know what's coming up. They love when they can anticipate what's happening. And the fifth pillar really is responding. So if my child's been using me as a human pacifier, nursing to sleep over and over again, that was my story, and I want to change that, how am I going to offer comfort to those tears when I take that away, knowing that sleep's a learned habit? So I'm taking away a habit, my child's going to protest because I'm making it now harder for them to fall asleep. So responding is the fifth pillar of the Helping Baby Sleep method. If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to hit subscribe to Never Miss a Sleep Tip. And if you're looking for more information about your little one's sleep, come take our sleep quiz. In 6 simple questions, we can help you figure out your timing, where you might be going wrong, one thing you're doing well, and one simple thing that you can work on tonight.